Hello and welcome again. This is DJ Nocturna, and today we are charting the higher octave with Alison Lewis, who is an artist, a DJ, and so much more. And her project is called Zanias, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, and you are all the way in Berlin, so such a far place. But thank you for joining me and doing this interview. We're like so many hours away. I know you're at nighttime there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you're the one who's up in the morning. That would be much
No.
harder for me. So
No,
thanks for
I,
having me.
Oh yeah, I love actually doing stuff in the morning because I'm more awake and
Mm.
my brain is new and refreshed, and
Oh, that's
I
good.
do a little meditation, and then I'm even more and better, and so I'm so glad that we can collaborate. Usually the artist likes a nighttime kind of interview for them.
Yes, I am definitely an evening person.
Yeah, and I go, well, I guess we could compromise. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, totally.
Perfect.
But you are an amazing artist because you do so many things, and your music is so eclectic in so many ways.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I see that the theme of evolution and death and rebirth, transformation,
Hmm.
so many ways, not just in, I mean, I could kind of picture your music, believe it or not. I could see a vision of
Interesting.
it. Yeah. I can see
Because
the,
I do too, actually. When I'm listening back to it, that's what guides my creative process quite heavily. It's what I see when I close my eyes.
yeah, I can see it. That's why when I heard your latest album, I had to reach out to Ethan, my rollers, right? And I said, hey, you gotta connect me with her. Um,
Ah,
'Cause
amazing.
it's beautiful too. I mean, the people, I mean, I'll share the link to your music when I share the post, but yeah, I mean, it's just wonderful. So tell us a little bit about, how you started out. I know you formed in initially you formed in London, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I was going to university in London, and that's where I met Ryan Ambridge of Linea Aspera. And we were both just students who wanted to start a band, and it was so casual and just for fun, and we really weren't expecting anything. We literally just met up in his tiny Caledonian Road apartment and made some music using his Roland SH9 synth. And eventually I got a Juno 6, and we were really just making songs for fun. And then we put them on SoundCloud, and they kind of took off a bit from there. And I got more of a taste of like, oh, maybe making music is quite fun. But I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what reverb was. I was completely like, I was studying archaeology, and I thought I was going to become an archaeologist. But yeah, fate had different plans, and I just got really into making music. And from there, I ended up in the band Keluar, and then moved to Berlin, and Keluar dissolved, and I started doing things on my own. And I really started producing on my own just in about 2015. And since then, I've just been learning.
Yeah. But I see you going halfway around the world almost, because you were born and raised, I believe, in Melbourne, Australia, right?
So I was born in Melbourne, but I was actually raised in Southeast Asia. My family lived in Indonesia and then Malaysia for 10 years. So very international. I'm an
See,
international school kid.
that's what I felt. I was just thinking, I feel like she went all around the world.
Yeah, yeah. I feel very much like a citizen of the world without much of like a singular home, which can be a bit exhausting sometimes, but I'm really grateful that I have that opportunity.
Yeah, I love Melbourne, Australia. I love Australia, period. It's just a beautiful place.
It is,
And I
yes.
feel really at home there. So for you, do you miss Australia?
A lot, yeah.
Do you go back and visit sometimes?
Yes, yes. I'm ashamed to say I emit a lot of carbon miles from the number of flights that I take, but I do go back every year for an extended period of time because I really need that. Like
Hmm.
I just need to soak up the sun and the bird sounds and everything about that country that I love so much. And unfortunately, socially and culturally, I don't have so much for me there. All my friends are in Europe, so that's why I stay in Berlin half the year.
Yeah, from if you come to Hawaii, you can take a straight flight on Hawaiian Airlines to go straight to Australia. just
Yeah, exactly. It's so close, really.
I know. I mean, it's many hours, but at least you don't have to get off the plane. Well, when you get to Sydney,
Exactly.
just when you get to Sydney, and then at that point, it's okay, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for it. There's a straight flight from here to New York as well, which is I don't like getting off and getting another plane. I just want to get,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's way more, and it's more efficient as well in terms of carbon miles to not take second planes. I avoid layovers as much as I
Yeah.
can.
So I know you mentioned you were doing archaeology. So tell me
Yeah.
about that. I mean, that's so interesting. That's why, I see all of these different very deep underlying meaning to your songs, kind of connected to a little bit of archaeology.
Yeah, well, I'm really just interested in humans in general. I've always just wondered how we came to be the way that we are, and I get very philosophical about it, but also I see the absolute elegance and beauty in the theory of evolution, not only like our physical evolution, but also our cultural evolution. I think there's just so much to be learned from how things were before. That's just the best way to understand why things are now. So to me, an interest in archaeology is I almost take it for granted. Like, of course, it's fascinating. Um, and history to a certain extent, but one reason I chose archaeology over history is because history is written by the winners, but archaeology doesn't have quite the same bias. And you can learn about cultures that have otherwise been erased by mainly settler colonialism. But yeah, I just love anything to do with learning about humans. So anthropology also and
Yeah,
psychology.
I kind of wore this shirt for you, I guess you could say. See,
Oh, nice.
bones.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't worn this shirt in a long time. And I'm thinking, what should I wear? That kind of has a little
Bones are
of
perfect.
yeah. So your debut album for Zanias, right, came out in
Hmm.
2016 to the core,
Yes.
and then after that, a full length album, which is Into the All, it came out in 2018,
Yep.
and that theme as well. Can you explain a little bit on the theme of of that album?
So both of those were part of my integration process from my first ayahuasca experience, which was tremendously traumatic. And I probably went into it when I was a bit too young, but I was fascinated by psychedelics. I had the opportunity to do ayahuasca and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this. So yeah, I sort of experienced all that all the suffering of humanity for eternity and like loneliness for eternity and a lot of just really heavy emotions that I then had to process. So to the core is about that like going to the core of what I am and then into the all was actually based on this book uh by I think it's Ken Wilber. Now it's escaping me because it's been so many years, but this is it. Like I'm actually starting to forget like important parts of my journey here. But Up from Eden, I think it's by Ken Wilber, and it's this book about how we've sort of spiritually evolved from the animal state to today and how we sort of realize that we're divine but aren't quite there yet, and it causes tremendous suffering as we rise in consciousness towards divinity. And we're sort of in this stage now where things are very, very difficult. And so Into the All is about that process, roughly. It's also got lots of songs that I just sort of wrote about things going on in my life, but I sort of arranged them in that order and used that book as a reference point for a lot of the themes.
I love that. I that's why your music is so deep. Uh,
Thank you.
it really does. I mean, when you look at the evolution, your musical evolution, man, how you came about to now. I mean, do you feel, like for me, I feel like the people, like like in a relationship, for example, somebody you know now, and you look at a picture that they shot like 10 years ago, that's not the same person, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
feel. I always feel that, I see somebody, like, you're in a relationship, you look at their picture from long ago, you go, I feel like I didn't know you back then. you're
Yeah.
different now. This is the person that I love, not that person in the past.
Hmm.
Unless of course you have a soulmate connection. That's a little different. But you know what I mean? So I just
Yeah.
like, do you feel like your music has since changed? That's really funny too, how you
Oh, so much. Yeah. Yeah. I'm constantly changing. I change between like every song that I make. And
yeah.
sometimes I think it's a bit much. I think it's made my music hard to categorize, and it's probably held me back in terms of like a music career and success. Because nowadays, especially, like the algorithm loves predictability and categorization. And when you don't follow that, it just doesn't know what to do with you. Like
Yeah.
Spotify has not known what to do with my music. I don't get on editorial playlists. I don't really fit in any particular world because of the amount that I change. But I don't really have much control over that. I'm just making what I feel. So I'm, I guess I'm just a creature of
Yeah, I know that,
many ins and sounds.
and that's probably why when I asked you earlier, oh, you were telling me something just a while ago, and you said, oh, I can't even remember anymore because you've changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you move forward, and that's a good thing, actually. A lot of people say
Yeah.
change is hard and change is difficult, but actually, change is good because it transforms you to like a better version of yourself.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So I see that evolution in your music, and I think I feel the theme is something to do with death and rebirth and transformation, you know,
Hmm.
loss and renewal, right?
Yep, totally. Totally.
Wow. So, your latest album, well, actually the one before this as well, Chrysalis, that's also a transformative state of a butterfly, which is
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, exactly.
And I just had a recent experience with a butterfly actually, and
Oh,
when it was still in that, but one of my friends gave me a Chrysalis. It was still in that
oh
state where
wow.
they're kind of like I have a picture of it on my Instagram page. They're hanging. They're kind of, it looks like a bat if you could imagine.
Yeah.
They're hanging like
Yeah.
this. And then she gave it to me for my birthday and she put it on the little thing and I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to, I've never worked with a butterfly before. And she goes, oh, it's a great transformation. I'll show you how. And then she did it. Then I was watching it, right? She said it should turn into a butterfly overnight. And I'm like, okay. And I looked, I was watching it. It didn't move. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what happened to it? And it was in there. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, like so happy about it.
That's
And then I
amazing.
released it. For first, I put it in my balcony, but it wouldn't go anywhere. It wouldn't fly. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? He doesn't want to go anywhere. So I put him back inside the jar. And then
Hmm.
yeah, we even had a plant in there to be eating or something. Then
Yeah.
then when I released it, it was just beautiful. It was just like it flew away and it was just, oh bye.
Oh, that's so exciting, so beautiful. I've never seen it happen in real life.
Oh my
I've
God.
seen the remains of it. I
Oh,
saw yeah, there was one hanging at my parents' place one night, and I just saw this beautiful shining thing. It didn't look real. It was all iridescent and blue and just hanging off this tree. And the reason I saw it was because I had a head torch on, and it just like shone so bright. I had to go towards it, and when I came back the next night, it had already
oh,
gone through its ecdysis, so
yeah.
it
I
had
love words.
disappeared. Yes.
People would never know how to what they even mean. But I think that's all part of evolving is knowing all these things, and then when you're actually hearing these things and experiencing it, that means you're going through it.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
I feel
exactly. Yeah.
because I know I've gone through a lot of transformation since I'm just like you, but evolving in a different way.
Yeah, of course. Of
Started my
course.
YouTube channel more recently. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I had my podcast before that. Just
Yeah.
information in a different way.
Yeah.
And so this latest album, ECDYSIS,
Hmm.
is it's also like a process, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
So,
it's on
oh,
Metropolis
sorry.
Records. No, it's released on Metropolis Records, which is a great label.
Yes. So it's Metropolis in North and South America, and then in the rest of the world, it's Fleisch Records, which is
Oh
my
yeah,
record
which is your
label.
record label, right? Right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's talk about your record label. How did that all started out?
So I used to run these parties in Berlin called Fleisch, and we were a
Uh-huh.
group of seven, and we were just like throwing parties in a basement, dancing to EBM, and it was really wild and really fun. And eventually, we had a few friends in our circle who just had this amazing music, and no labels were willing to put it out. So we realized we had to take matters into our own hands and release it ourselves. So originally, it was just going to be a very curated dance music label, but eventually, I was the only one left who was kind of running it. And so I just thought, you know what? I've worked this hard for this project for so many years. I'm just going to make it my platform because nowadays it's quite difficult to build a platform from scratch. And I felt like, well, Fleisch seems to have a really nice little community here. And so I took creative control, and it's no longer just a dance music label. It's now pretty much anything that I feel like I want to put out. But yeah, it's become a lot harder to run a label because of yeah, since COVID, the vinyl industry has sort of been collapsing slowly, and I don't really have the time to dedicate to other artists and their journeys because I've got a lot to do myself. So I'm sort of winding down the label now, which is part of the reason I'm working with Metropolis.
That's great. So this album, which is so beautiful, that's so beautiful. That's why when I heard,
Thank you.
yeah. So it's almost like speaking to you without lyrics,
Hmm.
without the lang. Well, first of all, music is a language of its own for sure.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
in a way, so I can't even explain it because it's so beautiful. It's a language, but with no lyrics. I mean, that's how you can communicate with somebody. It's through music.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. Well, I'm just trying to boil down the communication to its purest form.
yeah. No, it totally is. I mean, your music takes me back to like the past and the future in a way because
Cool.
it's communicating to me, except it doesn't have any lyrics. You don't need lyrics to communicate with somebody when it comes to music, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a
I think
language.
that's yeah, that's part of what I was trying to achieve to because sometimes actually lyrics are quite limiting
Yeah,
because they then all this potential meaning that usually comes from the context of where the listener is is listening to the music. So the mood of the listener, like that's the context is everything when there's no lyrics. But the moment you add lyrics, it's influencing what people are going to be interpreting from that
right.
and kind of polluting the purity of that moment that they're having with that music. So ecdysis is because of the way I was aiming to make something that was very healing for people. And it's a bit like when you're in therapy, a therapist will often just be listening to you rather than giving you solid like you should do this like some therapists do, but there's a mode of therapy where they really just want to reflect back to you what they think you're saying. And that's kind of ecdysis is meant to be that kind of emotional mirror to people, I suppose, by not having any words.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, you don't need words. It's just beautiful, and that's why it's connecting to the soul of the person listening to it. If it reaches you, then you feel it and you connect with it. Because
Yeah,
I think music is a language of its own. That's how people. I mean, whenever I meet somebody, like if they don't know anything, if they don't like music, some people don't. They don't really care.
it's
The,
weird, isn't it?
the relationship just ends at that moment. It just goes, okay. Then you kind of have to figure out what connection do you have. So if it's something else, then it's like astrology. Astrology is a language of its own. You're talking to somebody about astrology. If they don't get it, then you're not communicating because they can't communicate back.
Mm, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that in that way. So, but without lyrics, it's just it. People think, oh, you need lyrics in music, but no, not really. I mean, look at these these composers and from the old days, right?
Exactly,
They
exactly.
had their own music, and it resonates with you.
Hmm.
So this album is out now on Metropolis and on your label.
Hmm.
And I know you're also going on tour. We were talking about that
Yes.
just a while ago. And are you excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being back on stage, and I'm just so excited that we got our visas and that
Have
we
you
can
been to the
legally
US
tour
before?
the States.
Yeah. Have you been to?
Yes, I
Okay.
have been. I have been, but I haven't like toured properly. So I've been for I played with Linea Aspera back in 2022 and then I
Oh yeah, that's
DJ'd a
right.
few
Yeah,
times.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So tell us about the tour. Where's it going? I know Chicago.
So we start at Vampires Ball in Chicago on the 20th of April, and then we have a few weeks off, and then we're playing in New York City on the 3rd of May, and then on the 4th of May we're DJing in New York, and then on the 11th of May we're playing Cruel World Festival in California.
I wish I can catch one of those shows.
Yeah, it's such a shame Hawaii's a long way away.
I know, but I got other stuff I got to do. That's why I can't really go. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you DJ too. That's another thing. Tell us about how that started and the evolution of your DJ. Because you're a great DJ. I was watching your. I mean, if you
Oh,
go to
thank
YouTube,
you.
you'll find your DJ. Yeah.
Thank you. So, yeah, I started when I was 18. I was actually, it's really funny because I was taught how to DJ by goths and like, but like really old school trad goths. And when I looked at the pitch shift thing, they were like, yeah, don't touch that. And like, there was nothing about beat matching. It was 100% like, you do not touch the songs, you crossfade and you don't alter anything. And this changed when I finally like moved to Berlin and learned a bit more about electronic music, started using Tractor, and then at Fleisch parties we used to have our sort of private uh, tagline was sync and drink. So we would just like hit the sync button and get really, really drunk. And that was when we were very young. We don't do that anymore. We no longer sync and very few of us drink. But yeah, really, it was Berlin is where I started to play dance music and really enjoy it and understand it. And really, it was mainly EBM back in the day and like sort of a bit of electro and techno. And now I'm just really, really feeling trance
You're
and
just
hard
it's
house.
kind of like evolving to something different again.
Totally. I mean, my DJ stuff evolves possibly even faster than my music because it's just as soon as I find any track that I like, I have to play it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own DJing style, you know. Um,
Yeah, as they should.
but I think if you can get the people to dance, I mean, that's really important, you know, when people,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah. Well, I consider DJing like the difference it has from playing live is that playing live it's like, right, this is me, I'm bringing me, and this is what you're going to watch. When you're DJing, you're serving the crowd. Like it's a
right,
service job. You need to come in and you need to be like, okay, I have my perspective here, but what is it that's going to make you dance? And that's why it's so important to have flexibility as a DJ to be able to read the room and shift what you're doing to make the audience happy.
right. Yeah, that goes for all genres. Like I DJ a lot of 80s and some
Hmm.
some 80s songs I really don't like to play, but I have to because that's what get the people on the floor.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get the people on the
I know,
floor.
and that's kind of I mean, I have favorites 80s music and they're more obscure, but they won't really get people on the floor. Only certain types of people, but not
Mm,
the general public, you know, the main crowd, the mainstream. So yeah,
yeah.
it depends what you're doing, but I totally get it. Yeah. Yeah, I love DJing myself, and I think having the way that the way that you have all these eclectic abilities, you know, as a musician, as a singer, you know, doing your beautiful voice
Thank you.
and skills as a DJ as well as a musician and just your production and it's so inspiring.
Thank you. That means a lot.
And I'm so glad that we got an opportunity to chat and you know just knowing that wow you even from you know did you know I interviewed Lisa Gerard? I mean I know she's from Melbourne as well.
Wow, that is awesome. That
Yeah,
is really, really
I was
cool.
so I'm so grateful. I mean it was just
Yeah.
it was I mean we talked on I mean it wasn't a it was a audio interview
Hmm.
but that music, right? You know, for AB label, it's
Oh,
on. I mean, I can't even explain. You know, it's like you know, she was explaining to me how she creates her music and how she sings. I mean, it's like its own you're in rapture right when you listen to her. Just like when
totally.
Your music, it reminds me of, is very reminiscent of that, you know.
Oh, thank you. That's because I'm very inspired by Lisa. Very inspired.
Yeah, I figure you're in the same place, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, they probably have something going on in Australia that makes all these people so amazing.
But it's interesting also because Dead Can Dance had to leave Australia
I know.
before they were recognized. And this happens a lot with Australian artists that at home we don't get the recognition that we get elsewhere and we have to leave.
Oh yeah, you go to London or something.
We all go to London. Yeah.
Or
London and Berlin. Berlin is the new London.
oh yeah, yeah. I haven't been there in so long, but I have been to Germany. But yeah,
Cool.
and I need to travel more and get out more with
Well, you
my
live in the when you live in the middle of the Pacific, it's not easy.
yeah
You're a
yeah
long way from anywhere.
that's very true. Yeah, it's hard, but I mean we have our I mean we can go that way, to the so many different places, right?
Yeah,
That's a good thing
totally.
about living in Hawaii. You can go to Asia, and
Yeah.
so yeah. But I know. Well, do you have any plans for future? I mean, any updates to share if you have?
Well, I'm working on new music in a variety of projects. This year I am going to be taking things a lot more chill than last year because I learned my limits last year. We played, I think it was 46 gigs, and that was it was a lot. Some people live for touring, I don't. So yeah, I'm going to be living for production this year, and we'll be coming back to the States multiple times. And yeah, that's it really.
No, you have to take a break.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I sometimes I see musicians like going on tour, and I'm like, how do they do that? A European tour, a US, South American tour, and then after,
Yeah, I'm always looking at the tour dates, and whenever I see a tour poster now, I'm always checking for how many days off they have. And if they don't have too many days off, I'm just like, oh, they're gonna suffer. And you run out of underwear. You need to do laundry. And people just like kind of slave away thinking that this is the only way to do it, that we all have to like tour like crazy. But I disagree.
yeah, you
I
need
think
time.
it drives us to an early grave.
Yeah, no, it's hard because you need to. What is the word? You need to kind of relax.
Yes.
Take a breather. I don't
Yes.
know what's another word for it. You meditate.
Yeah.
Uh, go in isolation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because being in a crowd, especially when you have a lot of um, all that spirit, all that energy from people, different people, right? They're all over the place, and you have all these different
Yeah.
promoters and fans and spectators and just things, other musicians playing with you. You just need like time off.
Totally.
So I
Totally.
totally, yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to your next project, and you know I'm so happy we got to chat a little bit and talk about your
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
yeah. So if anybody wanted to check out your music, is there a website or what's the best way to reach out?
The
Or
best way would be to go to zanias.bandcamp.com. Bandcamp is the best place to support independent music, and all my music is there available to be streamed and purchased, and all the merch.
yeah, all the merch.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And hopefully we'll see you DJing somewhere, maybe somewhere close to home.
that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be reaching out. Yeah.
Please do.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Alison
Thank you,
Lewis, Zanias. All right.
Zanias.